I'm saving my voice for the game.
Havlicek stole the ball.
Wow.
Yeah, I was there.
You were there? Really?
No, I
Oh.
was listening on the radio.
Okay, so presumably we're streaming to
Oh, let's check.
we'll get our checkers to check this out, but so presumably we're streaming to Facebook.
I prefer chess, by the way.
We are streaming to X. I can see.
Presumably we're streaming.
There you go. You heard yourself with a delay.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
you're on
Who's
LinkedIn
doing
too,
that?
by the way.
Keith was.
I opened up Twitter and it was streaming, but the sound
Yeah.
wasn't turned down.
That's okay. So we've got Twitter, X Twitter, we've got Facebook.
Facebook, yes.
Facebook, yes.
LinkedIn?
And LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is LinkedIn.
Go. Hey, we're doing okay.
Hey,
And YouTube. Thank you.
Hey,
Okay.
do that again.
No, you need
Brent, I want to see your thumb and then your other thumb.
What?
Just do the thumb again. Uh-huh.
I want to make that okay. All right, we're about
The
to-
artificial
we're-
one sort of came up.
Stephen, can you please pipe down a little bit? And we're gonna about to start
Unlikely.
the show.
Do it.
Doesn't
Can you
work
see-
for me.
Can you see where?
Why?
Do it.
What are you doing? Why are you
Well,
doing
if I had allowed to,
this? Just answer the question.
no. Okay, so Brent, I'd like to see if you hold up your right thumb over your right shoulder. Yeah, no, to your right. Perfect. There.
Oh, damn. I didn't see that before.
What
Wow.
happened?
That's weird.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened?
You have to have it turned on.
I never turned it on.
How come mine isn't? What is this supposed to do?
Apparently, if you hold it like over your right shoulder, it comes up.
You see it?
What does?
Do you see it or not? I guess you don't.
Did you see the little white thumbs up come up? All right, I'll do it again.
Look at
Oh.
that. Mine's,
Yeah,
I've got
There you
two.
go.
But how come it doesn't do it for me?
Keith, where do you turn it on, Keith?
I have no idea. I think it's under React.
This
Rec-
is in Zoom, right?
Recognize hand gestures under React.
Maybe mine's not
I
on.
wonder what happens if you do this.
Yeah, that one works. Not you, Keith. Brent.
Yeah.
I saw one thing. Are you mirrored?
Okay, enough play.
Oh, Dennis has got a
Training
heart
the
up.
people, and they're looking at this nonsense. Okay, we're getting ready to go. Ooh, Dennis has got a new shirt on. We haven't seen that one before.
This is perfect. We're going to be, everybody shut up. Now, let me just say randomly
well, a little
about
bit
something
the
else.
fashion, that's okay.
Uh-huh.
All right, here we go.
Kind of rough.
I mean, look, I know that Brett's gonna have his Rams hat on. Frank's gonna have something black on. You know, that's the way it works.
Can you do the intro, please?
Okay, mute is off, and we're gonna go in 3. Uh-oh, I know.
You have to turn the fingers around, Brent. Otherwise, here in England, you're saying something really nasty.
Oh,
To
Oh, look, I got balloons.
Churchill
Mute is
found that
off.
one out the hard
mute
way.
is off. That means everybody be quiet, and we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1, and
hi. Steve
Hi.
Gillmor. This is the Gillmor gang. Joining us from the state of United Kingdom is Frank Radis.
Hello, gang.
That's how festive.
I'm a festive kind of guy
Okay.
Festivus.
That'll have to be your
for
Lord.
the rest of us.
I got that.
From the framework of Massachusetts is Dennis Pombriant.
That's the blue tsunami to you.
Ah,
Yeah, we'll see.
are you the leader of that?
Pardon me?
Are you the leader of the blue tsunami?
Yes, it's all me. I don't have any followers yet.
Woo!
Okay. From exactly to my right is the producer director Tina Chase Gillmor.
Hi there. Welcome to the Gillmor gang. We're gonna get started.
Okay.
From the permanently red state of Georgia
Uh-oh.
is Brent Leary.
Why do I feel like I'm the Paul Lind of this show all of a sudden?
Circle gets the square.
Well, you know, that was always the best spot, Brent.
Yeah, that's what they say. That was terrible.
Nice
Hey,
try.
would you
That's
rather be
really-
Charlie Weaver
I don't know who he is, but
or Wally
Charlie
Cox?
Weaver is otherwise known as the human connected to the dummy, Charlie McCarthy.
No,
Yes. Also father of
no,
what's her name? Yeah.
no.
Candace Bergen.
Yes.
No, that's Edgar Bergen is the father of
Well,
Candace.
that's true.
It would.
I've got it completely wrong. Part of it is right. I just don't know which part.
Steve is going, none of it was right. None of it.
Wally Cox was the voice of Underdog.
He was also Marlon Brando's roommate.
Wow.
Who was Mr. Limpet? Wasn't that Wally Cox? Wasn't
Probably. I never saw that.
You have not
I thought
well,
that
you
was-
have you?
Mr. Tier.
I'm still doing the introductions.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're very entertaining, Steve.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, from the Duchy of Palo Alto is Keith Tier.
And I was spending the time in line checking who Paul Lind was. We Brits
that
don't
go
know
for
that. But I did read that he was famous for one-line quips. And given, Brent, that you barely speak more than a single sentence, of course you're the Paul Lind.
You haven't been watching the show recently.
No, I know. I'm caricaturing
Who
his-
has?
It's like Harpo. You can't shut him up now.
He's gone
Yeah,
from violent to verbose.
I have to say we have a decent cumulative average across all of the social platforms.
What's that?
What does that mean?
A cumulative average is a contradiction in terms. There's no such thing as a cumulative average.
It's not a cumulative average, a cumulative score
Oh.
across all of the.
Oh, are we being scored?
I still don't know what that means.
It means that if you take all of them, all of the platforms that we're on, and you take the number of viewers that see us on any one of those platforms,
So
add
you're
and
counting
add them up.
Oh, that's easy. There's one, and then there's one, and then there's one.
So consequently, the number is bigger.
Yes. There you
Bigger
go.
the number, bigger the number.
Okay.
Did I just see a cat walk in the background of your shot, Steve? Or was that a dog
Oh,
that
it's
looked
a
like a cat?
small,
I sure hope not,
small dog.
because it's
Every once in a while, we have a raccoon joining us.
That's
but
right.
He had a very fluffy tail for a dog.
It's not the raccoon.
yeah, I really do.
He likes to
Did you
barge
shut the
in here.
door?
I did not. If you see me bolting, it's the raccoon. So, okay.
It might have been.
No,
That's
don't
right.
say that. No.
Don't say that.
He came in
No, it's-
yesterday and he was
Was it a red dog?
No.
no, it was probably Bella because she's a
Yeah.
more cat-like.
Anyway, rack it back.
But you can't see Bella behind
We
me.
do have cats, but they're just not here at this house.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay. Now that that's set up.
All right, so put it on somebody and then go see if the door is shut.
No, thank you.
Scaredy cat.
All right, we'll put it on somebody.
Hey, you don't want to mess with those whatever varmints you're talking about. You don't want to mess with them varmints in the
Right.
South.
I had two of them in my backyard in New York City that would come down and just stare at me through our door, and I would go up and I would bang on the door and I would clang stuff and I would try and scare them away, and they just looked at me like I was some kind of idiot. We're not moving.
Raccoons
not-
do not scare easily at all.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Mm-mm.
They're
5
like
just
dare
moved in
you.
on my son.
They're what?
5 raccoons just moved in on my son yesterday. We got
Oh my
video.
gosh, 5?
Fine.
Oh my, that would be
Wow.
a mother and her offspring.
Oh, well, they're
Wow.
cute. They're so
Yeah.
cute, though.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, really.
Hey, so
cute.
so I'm gonna jump right in, guys. Larry Hogan, someone go.
You know, meaningless.
What about him? Yeah.
I think you think Larry Hogan is gonna. First of all, he's not gonna accept the former guy's recommend. Said I'm all for Larry Hogan. He just wants a Republican in Maryland. But wouldn't it be something if Larry Hogan said, you know, I've had enough of this Republican Party. I'm switching to Democrat, and then he wins.
Could happen, I guess.
I'm switching to Democrat, and then he wins.
Could happen.
Was that? Is that Keith again?
Somebody's got a 30-minute delay there going.
You know, the problem
That-
the problem is that I can't figure out how to mute when I'm looking at the stream on Facebook so I can comment.
I know it's tough. It's
Yeah.
Yeah,
different.
it did that to
You'll
me
have
too.
to, it's a battle between you and your ego.
Well,
And then the id wins.
no, I mean, I am my ego, so there's no battle. It's a draw every time.
Ooh, that's heavy.
So how do you account for the delay if there's no battle?
The delay is all to do with bandwidth. It's bits and pieces.
Yeah, just turn it down. That's what I do. Just turn the volume down.
You know, Frank, I think you make an interesting point. But along that line, I was distressed to see this morning that the new movie, The Apprentice, which was raved at in Cannes, can't find U.S. distribution.
I'm not surprised by that, but I am surprised that that TV show called The Boys is so spot on about what's going on in America today. You have to watch it. I'm telling you, The Boys. It's unbelievable. It's a total fantasy superhero movie, but it's not. It's like you just have to watch it. It is the fourth episode is today's issues in America. Well, plus a lot of really horrid blood.
Okay.
And which is
violent,
what that you like?
Lots of violence. I'm all about the violence and the blood,
Oh,
but
okay.
I mean,
I spent an hour and a half. I'll never get back watching Civil War. Have you watched it?
Oh no, it's
I
bad.
no, I haven't.
Well, I won't.
You
well,
won't any further.
Yeah.
Well, we know what happens, Steve.
I was
so-
going to say,
No,
you kind of
it's-
know.
it's
but-
not
Is it,
about
I
the
just
Civil
want
War.
to know, is it bad?
Is it what?
What about
He
it?
said it was bad. He already told us that.
It's kind of it's like watching a train crash. You can't take your eyes away, but at the end you wonder what you got out of it.
Mm,
Are you happy now?
yeah.
But getting back to what we were talking about, Dennis,
Yes, Frank.
do you think that I think that would be a really interesting turn, and it would help the Democrats, it would help the Senate, it would help the majority become Democrat. And I always thought that Hogan sort of more expressed Democratic philosophy than Republican philosophy anyway.
Well, I agree with you on all those points, and I've been fantasizing as well. But everything I've seen says that when push comes to shove, Hogan isn't a whole lot different from any other Republican. He's going to go straight down the line with the party line and Trump, even though he might despise Trump.
So, but that scenario that happened yesterday with Trump visiting the Hill was really it was very embarrassing. I was embarrassed for them. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think the more of that we see, the better. I think. Did you hear about the background of the rally he had in the Bronx a couple of weeks ago?
I only heard about the giant crowd that wasn't.
Well, it was that, but it's also a person right on the street looked into the camera and said, "Take a look at all the license plates on the cars. They're all from out of state." And we're not talking Connecticut. We're talking about like Tennessee. Trump
Right. They bust him in.
It is a Potemkin campaign.
Fortunately, it's not made out of cardboard or we could just light it up.
Hmm.
Ooh. Steve's looking at me going, what the hell did he just say?
No, I was the previous thing that you said. I'm still wondering about.
Well,
I don't
Yeah.
think Larry Hogan is worth you know, a bucket of.
You can say that, but
Needs to
I
be
mean,
warm.
if you're only talking of 2 or 3 senators that are going to make the difference, and
No,
keep
I disagree. I don't agree with you.
no.
I don't think that there are any senators that are going to make a difference. I mean, did you see Romney scurrying into the meeting?
No, I
Yeah.
did not see that, really.
Yeah, they showed a shot of,
I'm surprised they even let him in.
well, I think he was running because he wanted to get in before he was thrown out.
I must admit, I was if you're dispassionate about it, you just treat it as drama. It's remarkable that the Republican Party, given how fractured it is, can pull off even the impression of being united.
Well, I don't think they're
Well-
pulling it off at all.
all they have to do is lie in unison, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, like Sinclair, basically.
Oh my! If anybody
See, I
didn't
think
see
that's
that,
another bogus issue, Frank.
I don't. I actually, if anybody hasn't followed what the owners of Sinclair have forced their stations to do, that's not a new story.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I haven't. So tell us what they're doing.
So Sinclair is
They're
owned,
conservative.
yes,
They're local.
and yes,
And
and
they use the same package to introduce all the local broadcasts.
Well-
yes. So here's the deal: the owner of the network, which has one of the largest station groups across America, so they have something like 90% of the country in terms of their station group coverage, and their station groups could be owned by local Fox stations or local NBC stations or whatever. They're still Sinclair, and the owner of Sinclair is known to be writing or telling people what he wants the scripts to say, leading into packages. And they did this really, and this is not a new thing. They took the exact same words and put together a montage or a collage of about
They
30.
did an anti-Sinclair group.
Yeah.
Did a
Yes, but it's
commercial.
not. It's not the first time that it's been done, which is kind of interesting because it made more noise this time than it did when it was done a couple of years ago. And you heard almost word for word the exact same lead-ins that were very pro-Trump, very red, and because the guy's conservative, and now this group, this anti-Trump group, went out, pulled all these things together, and then did a report that talks about how that they're in fact worse than Fox because they have a larger footprint. If you think about Fox, even when a Fox show has a big number, it's only 2 or 3 million people.
So how come we make a big deal out of this when if the left had done this, MSNBC would be, excited and proud of saving democracy. What about exercising economic power in a blatant, obvious way is illegal? I don't think
nothing. It's pretty American.
Right. So what is the issue here?
It just feels like the ball is being moved with an illegal play. But
we're seeing everything else moving in that direction. This is somehow, the least outrageous thing that anybody's done in this campaign so far. Why?
Well, there hasn't been enough. You hear it's almost like they're giving lip service to false stories and to things that are just simply wrong. and as opposed to really trying to do something about it. I don't know what they could do about it. I mean, the government's not going to shut anybody down. No,
Well, Frank's right. Frank's right. This isn't simply a display of economic prowess. It's brainwashing. It's
disinformation,
prowess.
misinformation.
Economic prowess needs to be contained in truth. This isn't truth.
But in
Why do you say that?
in
What are they
politics,
saying that isn't true? I don't buy that.
I think we were talking about the progressive group that was holding up the mirror to the whole thing.
So I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
Well, that the Sinclair stations are.
what is the misinformation? What is the actual misinformation that they're putting out?
It looks like propaganda. If they're sending the same message through a variety of stations, there's a deficit of reporting there. So we're not really doing journalism. We're doing agitprop.
So listen, when
But what is the content?
I'll give you an
let's-
example. I'm going to give you an example. When 280 stations anchoring their nightly newscast report that the country is in the midst of a recession, that the economic problems are insurmountable, that is wrong. And that is just one example of things that they say when they lead into packages that talk about the Republican talking points. And that is wrong.
But
But-
go on.
I was just going to say, but there is the First
To me,
Amendment. They
And
can
to
do
me,
whatever they
you know,
want.
the audience is responsible for being intelligent enough to realize when they're being spammed.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, I
That's,
don't
you
hear
know,
that. I don't
it's
hear
just-
that on any of the stations, left or right.
You don't hear that because you're not watching that.
I don't think we should have to fact check everything that someone puts out. Like, what's the point of, you know, watching or listening to people?
No, I haven't.
If nothing that they say,
I don't have
that
to-
I have to fact check everything.
I don't have to fact check I just go, if it's in the upper left, it's Fox, and they're
See,
full of
that's not-
shit.
Okay.
And
And what do you do? So what do you do with the Sinclair station? It's not in your upper left or
I don't
anything like that. What
watch
do you
local.
do?
I don't
Yeah.
watch local television.
Thing about local television is that more people watch local television than watch network television because that's where they get their local news, their local weather, their local sports, their local
I understand.
The things that
traffic.
affect our neighborhoods.
and interspersed inside all of that stuff that everybody's watching that kind of makes them captive as an audience.
My
Right, they're getting a hefty dose of Joe Biden is frail and his
Yes.
mind is gone and he's wandering around, and then they're all saying it. They're
So
all
listen,
parroting
that-
it.
that-
That's fair.
that's a
No.
really good example because that was a story in the Wall Street Journal a few days ago that had one quote. All the quotes in it came from McCarthy, all of them. And they all talked about the frailty and the problems of Biden, and no other voices were heard in that story.
So let me understand this. Do we want to win the election, or do we want to chase the rabbit down the hole that goes nowhere? I just don't. I don't buy the story.
Okay.
I think the story is free media marketing. The whole story is.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we're
that's-
thinking about it. Why? Do we think that the blue tsunami is a figment of Dennis's imagination?
I think it's actually exactly the right thing, Dennis.
But look, I don't know that we should be talking about this ourselves with an editorial overlay, because we just become part of the problem.
That's true.
So what
No, I don't agree with that.
No, it's every time we turn
You
around.
said that's true. I don't think that's true.
What I'm saying is we're not objective or truthful either. We're
Nobody is objective or truthful.
right. So that's my point.
So
Look, I don't think you're right about that. I think we're truthful, but may not be objective.
I think we believe we're truthful, but our truth is derived from our opinions partly, and we choose to focus on things that support our opinions and ignore things that don't, or ridicule things that don't.
Yeah, I don't do that.
So, yes, you do. And we all do. So I don't think the right framing of this is, oh no, they're biased and they have an opinion and they own things so they can put it out there. I mean, of course. Well, what else do you expect? So I think it's more, what's the answer?
No.
What's what is it they're saying?
But how do you combat that? How do you combat it? I
Well,
mean,
that's what's the answer. I think that's what
the
he's asking.
problem here, right? Is that we're dealing with a lot of lies and a lot of people who are spreading lies, and a lot of those people don't even believe those lies.
The only
Yeah, but
way
you don't go after them. You don't
There's
go
only-
after them. You
yeah.
can't win. You can't win that. You have
Okay,
to
so
take.
what I'm saying is, what do we do?
You
There's
have
only
to take the attitude that Donald Trump is going to get tens of millions of votes. He's going to get fewer votes than Joe Biden. Where is Joe Biden going to get the votes? From the persuadables, from the people who have been touched by the craziness of the abortion regime, by the people who can't make a living, by people who have been shut out of their share of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, especially the pursuit of happiness. There's enough people out there to persuade that way. Don't worry about the people that are talking to themselves inside the echo chamber.
So
That's what I said. I agree.
Instinctively, Tina, there's really only two possible answers to your question. The first instinct is find some way to shut them down. And that's the kind of
That's the cancel thing, and
that's the authoritarian instinct.
But that's not the one of two things that everybody's.
I agree. So
you just brought it up. So what's the other one?
So let's rule out shutting them down, because that's
Okay.
so the other one is expose them as being wrong by what you do, by what we do. And that is a narrative, trying to run narrative and attention. If you can't get attention for a narrative, you can't win.
Well, but what we do doesn't happen
Agree with
until
that,
A, until election day, and B, what we do may not even count because of the electoral college. But C, there is all sorts of stuff that can be done with targeted advertising, with the kind of spending that these guys are going to do with all the money that they've got. Look, if it's true that the Republican National Committee is spending so much of its money, A, on Trump and B, on Trump's lawyers, that's going to hurt the Senate and congressional candidates out there who aren't getting any of the money from the RNC.
But that doesn't actually, I mean, that would be nice. In fact, that the data doesn't show that that's what's happening. The data shows that in the Senate, the Republicans are going to probably take over.
Well, look, Trump is raising so much money compared to Biden.
No, I don't believe that. I think that's a lie.
Well, Biden keeps emailing me, telling me it's true. So,
well, I think that's a lie.
I have sent
being scumbag.
I have sent more $5 donations to the Democrats than I have ever done in my entire life.
It's because you want to win it's because you want to win the ticket to the Las Vegas gathering.
I want to go to Las Vegas and see the Eagles.
Oh, there you go.
Which ones?
The current band.
The new Eagles?
Well, the new Eagles is only three new members.
Well, isn't Vince Gill still in that band?
Yeah, and he's one of the new members, but he's been there long enough. And of course, you've got what's his name's son, who's
the drummer.
No, the guitar.
No, I thought Deacon quit.
No, he's still in the band. Or he
Oh.
wasn't. He was in the picture I saw the other day. They're playing at the Sphere. Boy, that'll be something. Anyway,
yeah.
I digress.
If you look, if you put what we were just talking about in the context of what I think is the biggest news of the week, which is the results from the European elections, and the fact that Farage, by the way, in England seems to be now ahead of the Conservatives in second place, the Reform Party.
Now Labor's going to win. Come on.
Labour's going to win, but Farage might come second,
Yes.
which would be kind of historic. And the fact that in Italy, in Germany,
Yeah.
in France, they're now calling election. There is something going on bigger than the American election. The American election fits into a pattern
Yeah.
of something that's going on that's quite big.
It's all the right wingers that are starting to make the most noise.
Well, the funny thing is, I think it's understandable that they get characterized as right wing, but what they really are is anti-centralist.
They're libertarian right wing.
They're anti-centralist. They're against the EU Parliament. Here, they're against the federal government for state power, which the abortion issue brings up. They're basically leave me alone people and let me run my own life people, which I'm not necessarily 100% convinced the label right wing really gives credit to what it is. If you really want to understand it, I think it's deeper than that. Because I don't think there's a bunch of neo-fascists.
You sure do have a warm spot in your heart for the right wing.
Well, I don't think
quite
that
amazing to me how you somehow incorporated libertarianism and the extreme right wing into a single party.
No, because I don't think those 30% French voters are all right wing. I don't. I do think there are right wingers they're voting for.
But yeah, there were other reports of that data which indicated that
Same problem.
yeah.
I think you've got to
Let me finish what I was trying to say, which is there are other reports which suggest that that the actual swing is very little away from the center, which is where it's been for about 10 years.
I think that's true in seats in the European Parliament, but you got to remember the European Parliament has no power. The European Commission makes all the decisions. It's the one structure where the executive branch makes legislation, not the legislative branch.
So give me an example of a decision that would be made that would impact more than the American presidential race.
Well, it wouldn't.
Ukraine, it might impact NATO. I think it could even.
Attitude to Russia is different there. I mean,
yeah.
There's a lot of things that on a global stage, but I agree with you, Steve. If the implication is it doesn't really directly impact the American, I agree with that. But Trump's base and the base of those people all share a common characteristic, which I don't think is being right wing. It's being pissed off. I think they're pissed off, and I think
you're right. I think you're right, Keith. I think they are pissed off, and I think a lot of this could have been avoided if just a couple of bankers had gone to jail over the last implosion of the economy. And I think there's a lot of people in Europe who are still stung by that, just as there are people here that are still stung by that, and they have an unvocalizable anger at the way things are, and you can't vote CEOs out of office unless you own a lot of stock. So what do? You go after the government. And the government was pretty ineffective during the recession, in part because it was controlled by Republicans mostly, and the Democrats are getting blamed for it.
When I was in college, I learned this sociological construct called alienation, which we probably all are familiar with. And alienation is alienation from the world you live in. And alienation is more than pissed off. It's kind of lack of empathy for the elite that runs society, due to the fact that you believe in your life, they only are doing you damage, not good. And you can't trust them and all that kind of stuff. I do think we're living in an alienated age, and the lower down the economic spectrum you are, the more alienated you tend to be. And so any populist can light a fire when that feeling exists. You can light a fire, and populism therefore becomes popular because it captures that alienation in a wholly negative framing that is not going to solve anyone's problems. But articulates their problems without solving them. And that's almost enough because they don't think the other side even articulates their problems.
So, Keith, how would you explain Jamie Dimon's position vis-a-vis Trump? How would you explain that?
Tell me what his position is first, and then I'll tell you.
He supports Trump. This is the man that's in charge of the biggest bank, I think.
Yeah. So I think the elite that support Trump are 100% self-interested,
Yeah,
pocketbook driven.
so be angry at the banks.
Yeah. So those people are
Silicon Valley.
they're different. They're manipulative.
Another phony
They're,
issue.
they're different from the people that, or many of the people that will vote for Trump, because they're manipulative. They're not at all reacting to their own life. They're manipulative. So you can't have any respect. The fact that Trump is a good enough vehicle for them it's astonishing.
Yeah.
But he is. He's
Actually, no, it's not astonishing. You saw the same thing happen with Vladimir Putin over the last 20 years. Jamie, if Trump gets reelected, Jamie Dimon is going to be Trump's bitch. And that's going to be true for just about every billionaire.
I bet you anything.
Elon
I bet you anything. Jamie Dimon believes, because he's egotistical, that Trump's going to be his bitch.
I was going to say
think,
that more than
course.
the other way around.
Well, I think
obviously
Dennis.
that.
Yeah, I think Dennis is right, but I think you're right, Brent.
It's both. They both think it. Only one of them
What
can be
did Brent
right.
say? I couldn't hear him.
I agree with Keith. I don't. They might think that Trump is going to be their B, but no. Well, what'd you say? You think Trump thinks Jamie Dimon's going to be?
They're
both going to think the same thing.
Yes.
They're both going to
Until
think
they
that
don't.
they've got the upper hand over the other. Because when
Well,
you think about
this
it, what is
exactly what happened in 1930s Germany? All the rich elites thought that they could control Hitler.
exactly? This is all. This is well. I
So
mean,
is this your blue tsunami? Is 1930?
No, my blue tsunami is going to avoid all of this.
How's that going to happen?
People vote blue. People vote their self-interest, whether it's abortion or any of the other issues that are percolating right now.
I
Well, what is
totally
it-
agree with you. I agree with you there,
Well-
but that runs counter to the idea of this festering grievance among the non-elites. that
I
Keith
think you
is
got
part of.
to
So-
define their self-interest. So, because I don't think they're voting with their financial self-interest when they vote this way. I think they're voting for maybe their political or the way they would love to be able to have certain things go back to the good old days. That doesn't make them any richer. That makes them feel better about themselves because they think that other people are beneath them, and they
But
just
if they
feel
if
better
they
because
feel
of that.
better, if they feel better about themselves, isn't that worth the vote?
I guess if while they're going to get their food stamps, absolutely.
Unless the food stamps are completely blown out and canceled.
The thing that you could take from 1933 and onwards and before actually that is relevant to today is the anti-fascist movement created something called the Popular Fronts. And the Popular Fronts were a broad alliance stretching from the Communist Party all the way through to like liberals.
Right.
And they only had a single thing in common, which was being against the fascists. And what happened is, in order to appease the base of the fascists, the Popular Fronts adopted nationalism as their core. In other words, they echoed many of Hitler's language, even anti-Semitism, actually, in order to say, if you're nationalist and anti-Semitic, he's not your only choice. We're a better choice because in addition to those things, we'll build a health service or whatever. And what happened is the whole of Europe became nationalist. And the people ended up voting for the most consistent nationalists, which were, in most of Europe, the right-wingers. And our equivalent is immigration as an issue. Everyone is jumping on the immigrants are bad bandwagon in the hope that Trump doesn't own that narrative because we're all against immigrants. And to me, that's like a huge mistake, because why would these alienated poor people vote for somebody less against immigrants than Trump is, if being against immigrants is at their core? They wouldn't. So it feels as if the political agenda around issues that are different to Trump, abortion is the one Trump's desperately trying to avoid becoming differentiated. He's trying to persuade the Republicans to become pro-abortion, if you saw this week, because he doesn't want a differentiated debate. And it feels like the key is a differentiated debate where there's a clear choice between very different views of the future.
You know what I wish we would have a conversation about is which states are flippable. What state can we look at? Like the last election went pretty blue for Georgia. I don't know how that happened. Is it going to happen again? I don't know. Is there some other state that we're not looking at right now that's going to?
Georgia is leaning strongly red.
I know that because that's what they
Okay,
do.
so since that isn't going to
We're
happen,
not talking
Well,
about
so you're
Georgia
saying
per
like
se.
Georgia
We're talking about
it's-
what state is going to flip this time.
They always
I
talk about
use-
North Carolina being a possibility.
I used to think even Texas and Florida were flippable at one point, not anymore.
yeah, but you were wrong about that.
Forget
they
about
got
Yeah.
close.
So let's see. It won't be Texas. It won't be
Yeah.
Florida. It won't be Arizona. It won't be Georgia. It won't be.
Okay, tsunami light.
I did
Electoral
mention North
college-
Carolina. There's a
Electoral college is a tsunami amplifier. Thank you.
North
Yeah.
Carolina is a potential because of the demographics. They're
Yeah.
just changing.
Certainly the you know, as I mean, it's becoming a more sophisticated state. There's no doubt about that.
So is
Because
South
of-
Carolina because the Gilmores moved there, but
Yeah, well, that I was going to
Yeah,
mention
but
that.
Nancy Mace also, won the primary, so we got discounted there.
Well, you know, Texas is flippable if the Democrats simply show up. They have a habit of not showing up in big elections.
Yeah, so I would agree with you. They're not going to show up, and it's not going to flip.
Well, you know, but that's an interesting thing about this dynamic is that people in the red states or people in go the other way, you know, blue states, if you're the opposite voter, if you're a Democrat in a red state, you don't think that your vote's going to really matter. And so there is a tendency to just sort of lay back and just like, you know, I can't budge this. It's too big. And I wonder if people can get motivated by a gradual change. It's not very you know, there's no positive feedback right away. But if people could see the numbers growing, like you said, Dennis, if the Democrats don't come out in Texas and vote, they can't possibly. It's like you can't win the lottery without buying a freaking ticket.
I know, but nobody thinks that Texas is going to flip. They would like it to, but very few people. It's not on anybody's roadmap.
By the way, does the Electoral College in every state give 100% of the delegates to the winner in the state, or is
No,
it?
there are a couple that have I mean, right now the blue tsunami wave hope chest is filled with something about the difference between 269 and 270 along those lines.
And that's delegates. I got it. Okay.
Well, the state of Maine has changed its voting such that if an area goes red and the rest of the state goes blue, that area gets to go red, or vice versa. I forget what it's called. It's not ranked choice voting. That's something else. But there is a movement in the United States where states are signing up to say that we will apportion our electoral college members more appropriate to the way people vote in our state if you do. And so states have signed up to a compact. There aren't enough states in the compact yet to apply that to an election, but that may be something that you see on election night at some point in the future.
Has to be 2/3 of the states.
I don't know. I'm
It's-
really fuzzy on it.
You would imagine that that would mean that the electoral college would correlate more to the popular vote, but not fully because of the different sizes.
Right. I mean, it's not fully. You're right. But you know, getting back to Tina's point, which is a good one. Elections aren't won on whether or not somebody just decides to go out and vote. Elections are won because somebody gets passionate about an issue and votes that issue. A great example is Kansas. Last summer or the summer before that, when abortion was on some special election ballot, and nobody thought people would come out and bother to vote. And it brought out a really strong pro-choice ballot or vote, and saved abortion, at least temporarily, in Kansas. That's the kind of thing that you look for to see if something's going to flip.
So maybe if we want to look at, let's say, the abortion issue, we want to look to the states who are being really negatively impacted, right? And maybe we've got a higher voter turnout because, you know, women are being, you know, sent home to bleed out, or, you know, all these other wonderful things that are happening. And people are hearing about it. You know, people care, and men care. This is not just a women's issue, for God's sakes, you know, it's not. So if we look at that, we do have some states who are really being right now really negatively impacted. So might we look at those states as the states we could turn?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, that's one issue among several that if you're a prognosticator about an election, you would have to look very closely at and put
Arizona is an obvious case for that, where the extreme between a normal abortion position and the position of the Republicans is so wide. You would think you could shrink the Republican vote down to a much smaller percentage.
And there are indictments over the last election in Arizona, so all that is playing in the news at the same time. There are other states where stuff like that is happening. Look at Wisconsin, for God's sake. Trump just trashed Milwaukee and the whole state, and it went for Biden the last time. What do you think it's going to do this time? It's making the rounds on the news.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he trashes everybody. I mean, does that really move the needle?
Well, I'll tell you what, if he trashes you, I don't care. If he trashes me, I'm going to be really pissed off.
So that's another interesting thing. There's so many things that you can point at recently that indicate that Trump is melting down. Let's talk about Milwaukee being one example, or how about the shark in the battery and the boat? I mean, please. And you know, there's just so many of those things that just doesn't seem to matter. Nobody cares enough.
Well, I tell you what, yeah, you're right. I don't think that's attracting any independents. I don't think that's attracting a lot of people who are saying, "Gee, who should I vote for?"
Well, you'd think. I mean, that's certainly been one of the great sort of pieces of marketing that's out there right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that. I think the conviction in the trial and the way that Stormy Daniels held her own on the stand are strong indicators of the Democrats pulling this out.
I loved Swalwell's comment to the Republicans on the committee that he was sitting in, asking who in the committee hung out with a felon today. Who on that side of the aisle hung out with a felon today? Nobody raised their hand.
No,
See,
I don't think that the using it as an issue will work. But I think that fundamentally there's going to come a point in time in September at the latest where people are going to realize what.
I can't see your beautiful face.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah, but you can't see my beautiful forehead either.
well, no, just
Okay, so pick
look,
one.
Look
So,
there.
okay.
Look there.
Steve, it's July 11th. That's the date you're looking for.
No, I disagree. I think if I was allowed to continue, I'm feeling like Joe and Mika.
Yeah, they were drinking beer
little
this morning.
Joe and
They
Mika.
were, they were drinking the beer that made Milwaukee famous this morning, or is it the beer that made Milwaukee?
I think, and Mika was wearing a Milwaukee t-shirt.
Yes, she was.
There's an excessive familiarity on the part of some of the guests on that show to some of the so-called regulars. A woman in the Democratic column was calling Jonathan Lemire.
And it's okay. It's okay to do that.
It was like,
People do it all
familiarity
the time.
breeds contempt.
No,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
You're way off on that.
See, these are the kind of things.
Actually, if she was in the news business, that would not be unusual.
No, I agree. It's normal, but
What?
I'm looking
just-
for the
I just wanna s-
underlying flip here, so that I can get back to my point, which is,
I think Gillmor's right, by the way.
well, yeah,
Which Gillmor?
middle of the road. Yeah, we get that.
Which Gillmor?
So I'm still, I'll just mute everybody then, I guess.
Oh, stop it.
No, I'm not going to stop it. I'm going to finish my point,
Ugh, okay.
which is I think that there's going to be in September, if not slightly before then, which means now, there's going to be a moment where people are going to say to themselves, enough of this bullshit. How do we protect ourselves? And who are we protecting ourselves from? And I don't think that they're going to be worried about protecting themselves from an 81-year-old Joe Biden. I'm not sure that they'll be worried
Or
about.
a 78-year-old today. Happy birthday, Mr. Trump.
But
You
it's
know
the
that
Iron Trump that people, I think, in this country are going to get worried about over the next month.
Macron is making the same calculation. He basically thinks that by calling a snap election, it's almost like for the European elections, the French vote as if they're having an affair. But when it comes to a real election, they vote like they're married. And they're not gonna vote for the affair in a real election. They're gonna vote for their wife. And therefore Macron thinks the French will come back home to him in a real election. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if he's right.
Yeah, Le Pen would be a mess for France.
Oh. There was something else. Actually, I was listening to this on it came up on Morning Joe. Oh no, I just forgot it.
Oh man.
All right, so
I do that all the time when I get up in the middle.
So let's talk about Apple and then you'll remember it. All right, so
Maybe.
how many people are following what's going on with the Apple Intelligence move?
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, so Keith, I know you've already bought one of each, whatever it is, but what do you think?
I've upgraded all my devices to the beta versions that are coming later in the fall.
Yeah, but what do you think?
So I think Apple's playing this in a very smart way. They're basically enabling what everyone's talking about, which is LLMs and OpenAI. They're enabling that to be available, integrated in the phone if you choose to use it. And they're going to make it conscious, like you have to say, yes, I want to use it. But what they're really doing is applying AI to more specific tasks that you will actually be doing day to day on the phone, like writing an email or designing a keynote deck or calculating numbers in a spreadsheet. So basically, Siri is being initially upgraded to speak to your stuff on your machine and help you with your tasks,
Yeah.
photos and stuff as well. But they're also building into Siri a gateway to OpenAI. They're focused on privacy, so they're saying your data won't leave your phone unless you want it to, and if you want it to, it will go to our new cloud built with our new M4 chips and will be encrypted to such an extent that we wouldn't even be able to hand it over to law enforcement if we wanted to.
But weren't they saying that the AI was going to live inside your device?
There's two levels. There's AI that's in your device, which can do many, many tasks. And then there's AI that requires more compute power, which is going to go into the Apple cloud, but fully encrypted.
I think the exciting part of that is whatever is going to happen with Siri. To me, that's the big deal with AI and the Apple devices. I think there's a whole bunch of other stuff I thought that was interesting. I think that that new camera that's being designed by is it
Blackmagic.
Blackmagic.
That's the most
That's
interesting part of this whole
I was blown away by that, and boy, they made that a very tiny part of the presentation. I
Yeah.
thought, but I felt like, wow, that just slipped right on
That's
by.
pretty cool.
I thought that was very cool. I thought that there were a couple of other things that I jotted some notes down about it. Now I'm gonna please continue while I go
Well,
look at
while
my
you're
notes.
while
All
you're
right,
thinking
well,
about that,
why don't you and Tina sit on the other side of the room
while
and try
you're
to
thinking
remember
about
what
that,
you were talking
It's
about?
not the Tina syndrome today.
So, Brent, give me your thoughts on what cut through for you about the Apple
what cut
and
through
AI
to
devices.
me is just how late and wrong they are to the AI party. I don't see anything exciting about them upgrading Siri. It would have been nice if they had done that, like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when they actually had a lead. Remember,
But
they were
what
the
do you
first
really
ones that had that. I mean, this is classic catch up. I don't know. I mean, yeah, they got a huge footprint of users, so that you can never underestimate them. But this is not exciting to me. This is life saving for them. To finally catch up to what everybody else has been doing for the past several years. And we don't even just because they're saying it doesn't mean it's actually going to come off the way they want it to. I don't know. I'm a skeptic, and I've almost as much Apple stuff as Keith does. But when it comes to Siri, and I'll say the same with Amazon and Alexa, I've been burned so many times hoping that they would make this stuff better and better and better, and it never got better, never got smarter. So we'll see. It'll
You're
be nice.
alienated. Brent, you're alienated.
I am alienated.
Well, think about
Are you saying you're an alien?
No.
Are you saying that he's going to try and loop this back around to his central thesis from the beginning of the show?
I was
Well,
born in the States, so I'm not alienated.
think about this from a pure business perspective. If you're you're a company with $1 trillion valuation, and we're talking about that,
Two, at least.
Three.
you don't run out and do a great deal of R&D about something that's so hot and new that nobody knows anything that's going on. You sit back, you wait, you watch, and then you buy up a bunch of previously done R&D and fold it into your product line. End of story. That's what I think that's what they're aiming at.
Now, this is what they should have thought that way when they started getting into the car business. Wait a minute, that took them years to finally say, all right, we're not going there. We're not gonna. They spent how much money on that? While they could have been spending some time and effort on this AI stuff that seems to have panned out much better. I don't know. I'm just calling. They're very smart people. They have unlimited resources. They should have gotten this Siri thing better way before now. That's all I'm saying.
I think Brent's right. Let's say they've been caught with their pants down in a similar way to Microsoft in an earlier era.
Yeah.
However, Microsoft also was not all over AI. And what's really happened is remarkable, which is that OpenAI has pulled off deals with both Microsoft and Apple. Only Google is really a player on its own, and not a very good one at that. So OpenAI has really got ownership of the table, and I think that that unifying layer, if you like, in AI is OpenAI. And the most interesting thing in AI is what OpenAI is doing. I agree with you, Brent, that the Apple stuff is a bit meh. It's not even active, by the way, on the betas. I've installed the betas. You can't even use it yet because they haven't built it. They're basically, for the first time for Apple, they're talking about something using canned demos that they haven't actually built yet. And it's going to take them till late this year to build most of it, and a lot of it won't even be ready by then.
But you won't. Not everyone will automatically be using OpenAI. Don't you have to opt into OpenAI as opposed to
On a per question basis? So when you ask Siri and Siri can't answer, today Siri says I can give you some web searches. Well, once it's turned on, it's instead of giving you some web search, you can say we can ask OpenAI about that.
Yeah, but I think that Apple Intelligence is the play here, and I think it's bad news for OpenAI. And I think Microsoft has already bought the cow, pardon the expression, and they're already starting to compete internally with OpenAI, trying to build it themselves internally. So I think this is much more of a question as to whether or not Google can catch up or not. And I don't think they can.
Yeah, I think that's roughly right. I think that Microsoft's version of OpenAI will be to OpenAI what Bing is to Google. It won't be good. And so if they were really smart, they would double down on OpenAI and just bite the bullet and own the interface. Not by acquiring them, but just by doubling down on that's our play. Apple is going to double down on that play as well, for sure. Apple Intelligence is going to be mostly initially interesting because of OpenAI integration, and the Apple stuff will get more interesting over time, as it should. So I still think OpenAI owns the chessboard.
So on your betas, does Math Notes work?
Yes.
Oh, to me, I think that was another one of those kind of really cool things that was also mentioned and shown a little bit more than the Black Magic camera. I was like, oh, I want to hear more about that because that seemed interesting to me. Also, mirroring on the iPhone to your
that doesn't work. That doesn't work yet.
No.
What about the Vision Pro stuff? Do you actually still use yours? I mean,
yeah. So the Vision Pro stuff, it's minor changes. It shouldn't really be called 2.0. So you have a gesture. Right now, you click a button to bring up the desktop. Now you can tip your hand over and then touch your fingers, and it does it. And if you turn your hand over, it brings up the control panel. So there's more hand gestures that have actions associated with them. It's a bit more convenient. But there's nothing really fundamentally different about version 2 compared to version 1, I don't think.
The thing that I think we need to pay attention to is the integration with Apple TV Plus. I think what Vision Pro is going to be is a private enterprise
screening room.
No, I think that's what the play is. Apple has made a lot of money over the years by saying that they don't do enterprise, that they're only consumer based. This is the first time they've actually brought something to market. And when it seems impossible right now. One of the interesting data points that I saw about it is the average price for people who've returned the unit is dropped from $4,000 to essentially $3,000 already. So if we see that happening for another 6 months or so, it's going to get down to the point where an enterprise is going to be able to use this as a way of running their internal networks and speaking to their marketing outreach. And at that point, it's going to make a lot of money for CRM players.
That is, by the way, is the other
That's spelled with a ER or a AZ. I just asked
That's
for
the other innovation, which is the avatars.
Ah,
When you
they
get a
look like
Vision,
people.
so when you get a Vision Pro, you scan your face and it creates a 3D representation. That has improved a lot over the last 6 months in terms of
Well, that
now.
that weird guy that you had was just
Yeah.
it was like the
So,
shine on
you know,
your
I
computer.
thought that was interesting in the presentation also when they were showing what that avatar looked like. It actually looked like you. And
Yeah,
it looked
and-
like you from about the waist up as opposed to just about here up, and you looked like a automaton.
Well,
It-
Frank, they've also right-sized it now. So when you come into the room with somebody that's on the mask, you're the right size relative to them, and you can fist bump them, high five them. So it's getting to be quite natural feeling, as if you're actually there.
They didn't make anything of that. They just showed it. And I mean, I went back and I read some of the data. There's a name for that, isn't there? What is that called now? What is that avatar called? In the system. It's not important. It just looked much cooler.
Yeah, it's better. It still makes me look weird, but I've started to realize that it's because I do look weird.
Okay, Tina, have you figured out what you were trying to talk about?
Nope.
Well,
Okay,
while she's still
right.
figuring it out, why is Elon so mad at Apple and OpenAI?
God, he just got $45 billion. What should he be mad about anything?
Because he wants Grok to be one of the candidates. Well, Apple is saying, by the way, that they're going to give you multiple choices, that it won't just be OpenAI. So he's withdrawn that threat now.
No, it probably helps to get that. I think it was $56 billion package, by the way.
It was, yeah.
Don't want to short him that extra 11 billion there, Frank.
Frank's saying pounds.
Yeah, I'm worried about that.
It's funny. I thought it was that 56, and then something popped up today and said that they had voted for 45.
Yeah,
Which seemed, so I was a little confused.
I actually don't know.
I thought I saw 56 late the last.
Well,
number.
if you think about it, when he bought X and paid roughly that amount, he must have been banking
it was 44. I think he paid for that.
44, but he must have roughly been saying this is for free because I'm getting my bonus.
Right.
Well, I think he's a big player in this. I'm not as sanguine about OpenAI as you are, Keith, but I can understand why. In the venture community, it's the last hope. But I think that what's going on with I think what's going on with Apple is enormously important. People keep underestimating them about the things that they say Apple doesn't know how to do, like services, which is currently about 30% of their revenue.
Yeah. No, they've done a great job. And by the way, they buy compute and storage from Google and Amazon, so they haven't even had to build everything. They've built the front end more than the back end.
So I think they basically stopped the market in its footsteps. I think they're going to try and use the government, particularly if Trump gets in, to slow Microsoft down. And I think they're doing quite well for a number 3 hardware company.
Well, yeah, but Trump doesn't hate Microsoft like he hates Amazon. Remember, Amazon was supposed to have that government deal, and I was going to say screwed him out of it, but they didn't win the way they.
Yeah, he just hates Bezos because Bezos is a real millionaire.
Yeah, it's a real billionaire. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You just made me think.
Bezos owns the Washington Post.
That too.
Which is in serious trouble right now with its managing editor killing stories that were negative about him. That's a horrible thing to have happen.
About who? About Bezos?
No, about the managing editor.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just before we leave the last thing, though, Steve.
I want to hear Frank. And then
Well,
we'll just
Can we-
hold on, or you can go over there and sit next to Tina and wait. Go ahead, Frank.
No, it's I'm not exactly sure what the story is. It's just that there was a story that was written about the managing editor by somebody in the Washington Post, and it was killed before it was published. So it was never published. It was killed by the managing editor. So he essentially
liked his own story.
yeah, exactly. And so now there's talk that the managing editor is going to be Gandhi, and we'll see, I guess.
Gandhi?
Gandhi.
Oh, Gandhi.
Yeah, Gandhi.
I got it.
So what I was going to say, Steve, is from your previous comment, the loser here, honestly, on the Apple thing, the loser is probably Android, because Android is not going to build in OpenAI. It's going to build in Google's Gemini stuff, which is good. So the iPhone will be way better than Android at AI once they ship what they announced. And Google are never going to do that deal with OpenAI ever. So if OpenAI is ahead, the loser is Google.
That'll be bad. That'll be really bad for them.
And Musk might actually have a play. Musk may have a play as Apple's number 2 option because and Google probably as well, but they'll have to pay to be there. So Apple and OpenAI, I think, are the 2 winners.
So what's
Microsoft too.
what is the list of the $1 trillion companies? So it's Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia,
And
Amazon,
Facebook.
Saudi Aramco is the biggest. But
It's TSMC.
that's Taiwan Semiconductor.
Nvidia. Yeah. Those are the big winners. Apple, I believe, is going to be a big winner.
Microsoft is a big winner.
yeah.
Well, they've got a lot of money.
so
They're a big winner.
Yeah, exactly.
the 15 biggest as of June 13th in order is Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Alphabet, Saudi Aramco, Amazon, Meta, Berkshire Hathaway, TSMC, Eli Lilly, Broadcom, Novo Nordisk. I don't know what they do. JP Morgan,
No,
Visa.
Novo Nordisk?
That's a pharmaceutical company, isn't it?
And then
Yeah,
Tesla.
they do semaglutide. They do Wegovy and GLP-1
Oh,
agonist.
there you go. That's why. And then Tesla's number 15.
Well, Novo Nordisk could end up being the biggest company in the world. Bigger than
What's that?
Microsoft.
Wegovy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad you can't get it.
Everybody needs their
Nobody,
product.
none of the insurance people are going to cover it.
That's not true.
Well, not until the price comes down.
It
You
depends.
already-
It depends whether my doctor offered it to me for pre-diabetes management, and if it's for that, then the insurance covers it.
Oh, yeah? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
For pre-diabetes.
let us know when that,
Yeah.
because our doctor has done the same. And right up until the point where we said, well, they say no. At which point they say, well,
right.
Well, Monjaro may be more effective, according to a lot of studies I've seen. Also, if you want to get those drugs cheap, check out a compounding lab or compounding pharmacy in your area. A compounding pharmacy is one that mixes drugs together for delivery to patients, drugs that aren't typically found on the market. Of course, semaglutide is found on the market, but in my research, you can spend as little as 1/3 of the list price for Wegovy by going through a compounding lab.
But how would you do that and have insurance covered?
you join
can't.
the Republican Party and lie.
Well, you might not be able to get insurance to cover it, but if the prescription is $900 a month and you can get it for $300,
Yeah. That's something.
it almost becomes manageable.
Well, at some
But
point,
wouldn't they
at
need
some
the
point, this,
exact formula, not just the, I mean, they would need to know exactly how the drug is put together. I mean, do they have that information?
Well, I will give you more information here. First of all, you can't get the drug from a compounding lab without a prescription. Compounding labs or compounding pharmacies have doctors who will get on the phone and diagnose you over the phone and write you a script. The big difference from what I've seen between what you get at a compounding pharmacy and what you get with a regular script is that the regular script is a device, right, with a needle that you stick into yourself once a week. The compounding labs will sell you a vial of the medicine and some syringes. So essentially, you're doing just what you would be doing if you had diabetes and you needed to give yourself insulin. You'd have to inject yourself, but again, it's not daily. It's multiple times a day. It's once a week.
well, this is very interesting to us. Let's take this
Well,
offline.
I have actually a question.
Hang on a
Just-
second. I've just got, Brent's got like 2 minutes.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so go ahead, Frank.
I was going to ask, has anybody used the pharmacy at Amazon?
Yes.
It seemed to me, and
It brings down the cost, but you still can't get covered.
No,
Covered by
it's
the,
also the
insurance
Mark Cuban one is the cheapest, because he's doing cost-based drugs with delivery charges, but they don't stock any of those.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Brent, last thoughts.
Don't go Celtics.
And what is the game? Who's up? How many games?
Well, the Celtics are up 3-0, so they're gonna win.
Yeah.
But they don't need me cheering them on. So
And Larry Bird is not even in the building.
oh, what a shame.
Bob Cousy was playing with this.
Bob Cousy.
Bob Cousy.
Isn't he
Havlicek.
still alive, by the way? He's got to be in his 90s.
I don't know.
I don't know. My brother played basketball at Boston College when he was the coach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking at it.
I went to Holy Cross, and
He's alive, and he's 95 years old.
Cousy lived in Worcester at the time, and would come over to the gym for a workout, and you could sometimes play a game.
A pickup game with Bob Cousy.
Well, and not only him, but there was some other players that were pretty good from the faculty or other ex-Celtics who would just descend on the arena. It was something to see.
Coolio.
Yeah.
Cool.
Coolio.
And
Okay,
Cousy was
anybody
still
last
fast
thought?
behind his back.
Yeah, I want to say, do watch The Boys. Also, Presumed Innocent is very good on
Yeah, we
Apple
liked it,
Plus.
but it's in that, you have to wait each week.
Yeah, I know. God, it's so much
Give me
like
a
real
break.
TV. It's like real television. That's what I said.
Boys on which streaming?
It's on Prime Video.
Yeah, I'm
and
gonna wait on that superhero stuff.
no, it's not what you think. I'm telling you, it's not what you think. It's more about it's an allegory. Just check it out.
I'm gonna watch it.
All
We're gonna
superhero
watch
stuff.
it.
There are no superheroes.
I get a veto.
They're all
and
allegories.
I'm vetoing you. We're gonna watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, watch the go. You can start from season 1, but you can just go to season 4 and you'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're at the nadir of peak TV. Everything
We're having
sucks.
trouble.
You know what? It's just streaming is just bad cable.
You're right. It has become that.
Yeah, that's it. I got
Last
nothing else.
thoughts for you, Steve.
I've already said them.
And what do we have here for okay.
Go ahead, Tina.
No. I'm looking at
That's the quote from Bob. Bob Cousy.
Wow, is that Bob Cousy?
He's 95 years old with one foot in the grave, and I can barely move. And one of the last things I want to be able to see is for the Celtics to hang up banner number 18.
Those banners are pretty exciting there up in the rafters.
Yeah,
I mean,
I won't.
he was like this very short outside shooter, wasn't he?
No, he was like the
Steph
Marcus
Curry.
Marcus Haynes level dribbling. He would dribble. He was like the first cool dude to play basketball, like with back behind the back passes and dribbling through his legs and knees and giving people the business.
He was
But
the
he
white
wasn't
Cadillac lemon.
he wasn't a dunker.
No, he was no metal lock lemon, but
Well, I said the white.
well, no, he'd be like the white Marcus Haynes. Haynes was the one that was doing all the dribbling stuff. Meadowlark was good with just talking.
I thought he was pretty good.
He was pretty good with that 50-foot shot thing,
The alley-oop.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay,
So-
Keith, anything?
No, I think we covered everything. The Euros just kicked off. Germany versus Scotland is the opening game in Munich.
Mm.
And what is that? Golf?
Hey, I did see a baseball game here last week in the UK. I saw the Mets against the Phillies.
Yeah.
It
How
was
that?
it honestly I hadn't been to a professional baseball game in, I don't know, 40 years, right? So, but they made it feel like it was. See you, Brent. They,
Take care.
Right.
See you, Brent.
Thanks,
they
Frank.
made it.
Welcome to another show.
It felt so much like it was huge entertainment. There was singing and there was all sorts of weird stuff going on outside the stadium. It felt like we were almost, and you got some baseball too, but it felt almost like a beach volleyball at the Olympics. It was, everyone was into it. And honestly, there were 53,000 people in the London stadium.
Wow.
It was crazy. And the Brits, when they asked for the Brits to cheer, there were way more Brits there, obviously, because it's in London, and they were just loving it. It was really cool.
Ah, how fun. That sounds
And
like
and
really
it was
sounds
split.
like
The Mets won one, the Phillies won one. So you got to see,
My
the
my
Phillies.
my equivalent story, Frank, is I went to Seattle to watch Billy Joel in the Mariners Stadium. It was packed.
Oh,
I
geez.
was never a Billy Joel fan, actually, historically, but he was amazingly good.
I've heard that his live show is just spectacular, and I have never seen him live.
He did a whole Led Zeppelin thing. So Bonham's son from Led Zeppelin has a Led Zeppelin tribute band called the something Bonham, whatever, who played the opening set, and they were really good. He's drummer. Bonham's son is also a drummer.
He's a very good drummer. Yeah.
He's a very good drummer. And then Billy Joel brought him on halfway through the set, and they did Whole Lot of Love.
Ah,
Really, really well done. It was, and they also did Start Me Up, the Stones song, really well. It was such a great show because it was Billy Joel, but it was super entertaining beyond that. It was really good.
That's Kal-El, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's your superhero reference. All right. Thanks to everybody who showed up.
wait, Frank's coming back with
Frank,
his guitar. He's gonna play us out.
you gonna play bass?
I can't play this online. I just wanted to get it off the wall because it's my new purchase.
Oh,
It's
Very
a little, it's a travel bass.
She has very sexy curves, Frank.
What who makes it?
Black Star.
Black Star. Okay.
all right.
Thanks to everybody who showed up, and especially those who didn't. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Next time.
And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there this Sunday.
Well, thank you.
Oh.
Bye-bye.
Chow mein, everybody. I'll see you guys hopefully next time.
Yeah, see ya.
Thanks, Frank.
Bye.
Hey, I'm gonna stop the stream. If I can find it.
You're picking up a puppy.
I am.
Sweet.
Oh,
Yeah, he's coming.
I have him right here next time.
that's true. I can't find it.
Tina, I sent you some links.